Okay, so new episode, new chronicles for you. This week, InnovEU focuses on the digital transition. That's something that is essential to many EU-funded projects, but it's an issue relevant all over the world. We'll be, first of all, looking at the results of the Are We There Yet index in the EU countries and in the USA. We'll be comparing those results, and then we'll be looking at programs, the investment programs both sides have in place, and we'll try to make some conclusions out of there. Not necessarily good conclusions, we'll see. And then the episode ends closes with the analysis of an open call, an Horizon Europe emissions call for cities and mobility and green transition. Something that will be here soon. Bye. Okay, so new episodes, and we are looking at the Are We There Yet index again, and the digital transition part only. The other four parts will come afterwards. In November, we'll have the green transition part of the index. So we'll be looking at the numbers, the results of this index, specifically for Europe and the United States. And we'll be comparing these countries, making some comparisons, and then we'll be hunting for turtles and hares. Who's faster? Who's slower? We'll also compare the investment programs that both sides have put on and are important, and we'll try to take some conclusions from there, and we'll address the eternal issue: unicorns versus SMEs. What's really the objective of this digital transition? To have more unicorns than the neighbor, or to have your SMEs have a good digital transition, fast digital transition? We'll end with the final question, which is, are we there yet? When will we be there already? Is the transition almost over? Or is it going to stay for some time? Well, let's look at it. So starting with this chart, we've seen it in the previous episodes, but with a lot of other countries. Now only look at the EU and the USA, the 27 EU member states of the EU and the 52 states, I hope I'm not wrong, of the United States, and you can see that the evolution is almost parallel. It's true that the EU is gaining some ground, but there's not that large difference in the evolution. We'll look at these evolution numbers better in a minute. Now let's compare the 27 member states of the EU, and what a mess, huh? So many countries in just so many lines in just one chart is too much. But you can see, if you want to look at it carefully, there is one group of hares that are going very fast: the Netherlands, Slovakia, Malta. Not that they're going fast, they're ahead of the others. And there's a group of countries that are lagging behind: Bulgaria, Romania, Portugal, Greece. And then there's the platoon, as you say, in the cycling competitions. There's the main group of countries that are very close to each other. If you compare the exchange rates, the rates of advance or not advance in case of Africa, and you make this comparison by continent, you can see that South and Central America is moving faster. They started behind, but they're moving faster. Africa is moving backward. As I said in a previous episode, this is going to be a problem. Then if you compare Europe and North America and Asia, it's not really that different. Maybe Europe moved a little bit faster, but not that different. Now, if you look at countries and you compare the evolution they had between 2018 and 2023, That's the years that are being measured here. And the reason why the index starts in 2018 is basically because that was the time when the politicians in both sides of the Atlantic suddenly starting talking a lot about digital transition. So the measurements started there, and you can see that from in these 5 years, India really moved a lot, really had a huge progress. They started far behind, so they're still behind, but they're the turtle here. Sorry, not the turtle, the hare. The turtle is Australia. Funny, eh? They're ahead of everyone, but they apparently they were already ahead. They had a head start, but they didn't change that much in these years. The EU is second fastest, but we can look at it in a different way. Just comparing the EU countries, you can see how in Europe, Italy is the hare. They're really going fast. Also Bulgaria and Poland. And we have a couple of turtles. I hope they won't be mad at me for calling them turtles, but both Netherlands and Slovakia, they're moving slow, as well as Luxembourg. If you look at the big countries, the ones that have a larger impact in the evolution of the Union as a whole, you can see that Italy, Poland, Romania, Spain, they're moving quite fast. Germany is behind. Germany is another turtle here. There's still another way to look at it, but looking at these numbers, the change that countries had, the transition that countries had in these 5 years, it's easy to see that there is the result of all the investments that were made. Now, was it public investment? Was it the public, the taxpayer money that is being spent in these programs, or was it private investment because they needed it? There was an incentive to make this digital transition. We'll have to make that evaluation, but looking at the numbers, you can see that in Europe, Horizon Europe is the main investment program, and a good part of it is dedicated to the digital transition. The other part uses the digital transition as a condition to run the projects. So it's a huge part of the Horizon Europe, and it's a huge investment, 95.5 billion euros. But there's also a Digital Europe program, smaller, 7.5 billion, and the famous Recovery and Resilience Facility, which was built after COVID. In that money, 20% has to be digital spending. If you compare with the United States, if my slides changes, yeah. In the United States, you had the CHIPS Act approved with $52.7 billion in this case, and you also had the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act tech provisions with 65 more billion, and you have several research funding programs spread across agencies. So you clearly have more money being more public, more taxpayer money being invested in this digital transition than in the EU. But in fact, the results are not that clear because the EU is moving faster. So this brings us a little bit to the Draghi report again. I know I can't stop talking about it because it uses as an indicator that the EU is lagging behind and there's an innovation gap. Why? Because we don't have unicorns. All unicorns go to the United States or China. And My question is, do we want unicorns? Is that really the main thing? Or should we focus on having a fast and smooth digital transition for the SMEs? And there's different points to be made in favor of both cases. Uh, on the side of the unicorns, if the more unicorns you have, the larger the global presence and the competitiveness of your country's digital sector, or at least the image of competitiveness of your country's digital sector. It's true that most of these unicorns drive significant innovation, they drive growth, and they attract investment, they attract talents. So they're important in the creation of a large number of high-skilled jobs. However, they also bring high risk, because when one of those things fails, it's a problem for a lot of people. And they also bring concentration of wealth and resources in a few companies, and that will surely bring problems of inequality in the near future. And one final point, most of these unicorns have this strange tendency of not wanting competition. I wonder why. So they are often accused in court, including in court. They're accused of stifling competition and stifling innovation by their smaller competitors. Okay, so you have good and bad things about unicorns. And then if you look at the other side, the digital transition SMEs, the SMEs that are moving fast in this digital transition, they bring economic resilience to your country, to your economy. They bring widespread innovation, of course, because they encourage a broader base of innovation across industries. They have a strong local impact. They contribute significantly to local economies, but they are small. So they have lack of resources for large-scale innovation. They have problems scaling. Scaling up is harder because they don't have the investment it takes. And they can lead to a fragmented marketplace with less global influence from your country. So which one do we want? Which one is better? And someone I know would ask, why not both? Well, no, you can't have both. This is economics. So no, there's never enough resources. So you cannot have both. Which one is preferable? I guess that will change. That the answer to that question will be different in different economies. Also based on the sheer dimension of the economy. No, I don't have an answer for that. Not really. I'm not going to risk one. But I was talking about scaling. If you want to have unicorns, you need to have innovative SMEs, startups, to grow and scale up to become unicorns. And why is that a problem? And more interesting, I think, what is the harder part? Is it harder to create a startup, to innovate? Or is it harder to take that startup and scale it to a global scale? Scale it up. It's usually difficult to secure the initial capital for startups. That's complete uncertainty, so it's difficult. Regulations can be complex and not be friendly, and you have to compete with larger and more established companies for the skilled workers, and that may also be a limit. And well, risk aversion, fear of failure, that's common in any culture. So that makes creating startups hard. It is hard everywhere. Then scaling those startups, once you succeed in that first phase, and you have a business that can be scaled to a global level, you need larger funding rounds. then you need real money. Let's put it this way. You need also to go over borders and adjust yourself to different regulations, different languages, different time zones. You have to really complexify your management. I like that, complexify. Yeah, never mind. You need to create good support systems for your operations if you're going to scale them up. And that makes it difficult to compete globally. So the thing that you can conclude from the Draghi report is that Europe is not a good place to scale up good startups, good companies. Why? Difficult to access venture capital, enough funds to fund the growth. So my question is, and do you want that? Is that really what matters? Is that really what will have an impact on the economy, will have an impact on people's lives? Maybe we should reconsider that. Maybe the support for the digital transition of SMEs will be more important. Something to discuss. Finally, if you look at all those charts, both in last week's episode and this one, you can see that 2023 was a year where we basically came to a stop. Digital transition had a break. It's considerably slowed down. Why? Well, the index, the Are We There index, is being measured with these 5 variables, and the stop is clearly 4. The digital economy integration clearly slowed down in 2023. Now, this is the result of the ICT access in companies and the share of ICT exports. And both indicators really slowed down in 2023. Very curious to see what happens in 2024. We'll see. So, final question. When will we be there? Are there limits for this transition? Will there be a point in time where we can say, okay, we're here. The digital transition is over. Well, if once again the digital is built using these 5 variables, you can see that, well, for some of these variables there is a limit. The internet penetration rate will slow down once it reaches 100%. The quality of the digital infrastructures one day will also slow down once they have all the top technologies. Probably the new improvements will be very little changes. I guess the e-government development index will also slow down once we do everything with the government online, digitally, once we pay taxes digitally. I already do. Once we register and we vote digitally, once we do everything, including the complaining digitally, this will slow down. But on the other hand, there is a long way to go for the ICT skills in the both the companies and the individuals. There is a lot of growth yet. There's a lot to do. So this may be in for a long time, maybe endless. So I don't think 2023 slowed down that way because we're almost there. But that's only what I think. We'll see next year when we get the 2024 numbers. So just to close, I would like to hear your opinion. So if Draghi is right, what should both the EU and the USA do? Because they spend more money than anyone else, and they're not moving faster than many countries. So should they put more money on it, shower money on the problem? Should they compete both with each other and other parts of the world, or should they collaborate with other countries? What's the good path to take here? What should they both do? I would love to hear your opinions. Okay, and that's it for today. It's too long, so I'm closing it. Thank you. I hope you enjoy it. Bye.
The Horizon Miss 2024 CIT 01-04 call supports innovative projects for climate resilience and sustainability in peri-urban areas, with a focus on mobility, energy, industry, and governance. Projects should aim for measurable outcomes, like a 30% increase in sustainable transport modes, enhanced recycling in industrial processes, and improved energy efficiency for a greener industry. By integrating smart solutions across these domains, peri-urban areas can achieve reduced greenhouse gas emissions, higher living standards, and stronger governance. Proposals should address the unique needs of peri-urban regions, where rural and urban functions converge, through sustainable land use, renewable energy integration, and public-private partnerships. This call has an indicative budget of €28 million, with an expected EU contribution of approximately €9 million per project. Consortia must include at least 3 entities from different EU member states or associated countries, and organizations such as public bodies, research institutions, and private companies are encouraged to apply. Submit your proposal by January 16, 2025. For more details, visit the EU Funding and Tenders portal. Don't miss this opportunity to drive impactful change in urban sustainability.
InnovEU, the EU Project Chronicles, is a weekly video podcast. Please subscribe to Polixoc's newsletter to receive every podcast episode. And if you like receiving it, please press like in whatever platform you are watching or listening. Also, please share InnovEU and Polixoc with anyone you feel will enjoy it. Credits: author and host Fernando C. Gaspar, music Hugo Gaspar, Lisbon, Portugal, 2024. Reach us by email or DM.